Hello and welcome to another episode of Building Tech Sales Academy in public. My name is Jameel Raymond. I am the founder of Tech Sales Academy, and unfortunately I am no longer in Thailand. I am back in Melbourne for the foreseeable future. My digital nomad dreams and mission of going all in on Tech Sales Academy have had a significant disruption, a significant left turn from the universe, and I had to come back to Melbourne and sort some pretty major shit out. So I've actually been back in Melbourne for almost 2 weeks when you guys watch this. I had to come home for a family emergency, a pretty significant family emergency. Now, unfortunately, I cannot say too much right now about the nature of what that is. I will in time, but it is significant and it involves the law. And I have had to step in and basically look after my family for now until maybe the next 6 months, potentially more for the foreseeable future. The last 2 weeks have been pretty wild, pretty crazy. So having to surprise my mother with some very unfortunate news. I've had to relocate my family away from the family home for safety. And right now I'm filming this from a nondescript location somewhere in Melbourne to help protect the location of where I am. So, it was certainly unexpected to be doing this. I found out 2 Saturdays ago about my family situation, and basically from there I had to take the next flight home and jump in and look after the family. So for some context, when I mean family, I mean my immediate family, my parents and my brother. I have got my mother and my father, and I have a 22-year-old younger brother. And I have had to separate my mother and my brother from the family home, including myself. And basically, as the eldest in the family, I've got to step up and be the new man of the house. So, it's hard to disclose. I can't really. It's hard to talk about for the reasons it has been and the reasons why I can't talk about it. I'm in a pretty complex spot, but in the nature of being completely honest about what I'm building and why. I mean, this situation has basically put Tech Sales Academy on hold for the last 2 weeks. I've barely thought about it. I've let the community know that about the situation. And I've been completely in family mode for the last 2 weeks. And basically, I now have got a major shift in priority. I have to be a family man. I have to consider my mother and my brother's well-being because my mother is 66, about to retire. My brother is 22, finishing his last semester of university. And I need to be the breadwinner. And I need to be supporting my family now for the foreseeable future whilst I help them, quite frankly, rebuild their lives. So, man, it's pretty crazy to talk about and to think about what I'm going through right now. And I wish I could tell you guys more, but for legal reasons, I think it's best if I don't until all the dust settles. So unfortunately, for the next 6 months, I'm going to have to focus on my family's well-being. I will not be in Thailand for at least 6 months. I was just about to extend my trip an extra month, and things are going well. I'm about to launch the AE toolkit, and I was finally settling into the rhythm of what I'm doing with the business. And yeah, it just completely got sidelined for 2 weeks. And as this comes out and you guys watch this, I will be just restarting, getting back into the rhythm of building and selling and getting back into Tech Sales Academy. But I've sort of had some time to reflect over the last few days and think about how I'm going to pivot. And this is the pivot that I've got, is that essentially I need to go get a job. I cannot be going all in on Tech Sales Academy for the time being, because it's not just about me anymore. It's about my family. It's about making sure that my mother and brother are supported through this time, thinking about their well-being. Like I said, I have to restart their lives and help them with that. My mother is vulnerable. My brother is young and inexperienced. And yeah, I'm 34. I am definitely the eldest in the family, and probably have it the most together. Well, definitely have it the most together. So I have to lean in and be a good son and be a good brother and be a good provider. I mean, why do we build these things? Why do we create for a future? Why do we create such a big future for? Really, it is to look after our loved ones and make sure they're safe and happy. And it could be building generational wealth. It could be building a good legacy. But regardless, you do build it for the people that you love and to enjoy time with them. So for the next, I think, 6 months, I'm going to have to look for a job, maybe more, maybe 12 months. I don't know. Right now, I need to, we are staying out of the home. I need to find a new permanent home for my mother. I'm going to have to retire her early and sort of work through that. I will need to I will need to take over for power of attorney of my mother and look after the legals and financials of resolving and making the most of the family breakdown. And yeah, man, I feel like I've just adopted 2 kids, basically. I've just adopted a family out of nowhere. It's just been dropped in my lap. And yeah, I mean, look, it's a tough situation to be in personally, but you got to step up. I have no regrets about taking responsibility for where I am right now and looking after my family. Hopefully this is only 6 to 9 months worth of turmoil and may potentially a setback, but there is part of me that doesn't see this as that much of a setback. The means of which we'll get into again as things unfold. But yeah, the next 6 months now are pivoting to focus on my family's well-being before my own visions, etc. So I will be continuing on with Tech Sales Academy. That'll have to go a little bit to the side into side hustle mode. Side hustle mode, but it's pretty close to just being its own self-fulfilling process now. We did talk about the funnel being developed last time. So again, those finishing touches, then all I really need to do is just content and sell. And that could be DMs, that could be ads, that could be just more quality content. We've talked about that last time. So then just getting that process, that system of content going to let that run. And then any money that I make from the Account Executive Toolkit or anything from Tech Sales Academy will just sit to the side, and I'll just start stacking cash and keeping, basically just compiling cash for the time being. Because I have to worry about not just my mouth to feed, but my mother and my brothers as well, I'll have to look for a day job. Maybe that could be, I don't know if it has to be a day job necessarily, but I have to get to at least 10 grand per month. That ticks a couple of boxes. One, when you are building your own business, getting to the first 10K month, consistent months is the hardest. But then you should be able to easily support yourself on 10K a month, as long as you're not living an insane lifestyle. Making 10K a month Australian, I'm covered, my mum's covered, my family's covered. Easily, based on the finances that I've projected. So that's the goal now, is for that to just get to a point where I'm making the business is making 10 grand a month. Now, I could supplement that with high ticket courses or potentially some coaching. I did have some coaching leads. Maybe I pick that up as well. Because if I get 2 high ticket coaching clients at 5K a month, then I'm good. And then I'm highly efficient with my time, because that coaching time is only about 8 to 10 hours a month. So that sounds fucking great. If I can make that happen, amazing. But I just can't take risks with income not coming in for the time being, because again, it's not just about me. It's not just trying to hustle for my own food and shelter. It involves my mother and my brother now as well. And again, with also just the additional mental bandwidth that all of this is going to take up for the time being, again, having to get into a bunch of legal and financial BS, trying to find a new home for my mother and my brother, setting them up, setting their lives up again. Essentially, yeah, just becoming a pseudo parent for 6+ months. Like, it's just not, I just can't, excuse me. It's just too much. It is just too much to be starting a business, and all of the tribulations that go with starting your own business. And taking the risk on myself to then also have the additional bandwidth of starting a life again. Yeah, it's just, I'm not afraid to touch the safety net and tap out, so to speak, when it comes to this venture for the time being, by going, you got to know your limits, man. You got to know your limits. And again, it's not about risk. It's not about my risk anymore. Again, I fail. Personally, it's not a big deal. I could go get another job pretty easily, I'd say. That could make me 200K per annum. And then all these problems are solved. And that was always the case when it came to building Tech Sales Academy, of course, is that corporate's always there. Is it ideal for me? No. Has it been grating against my soul to be there? Yes. But I can take that. I can take a 6-month sabbatical, or at least be calmed by the fact, soothed by the fact that I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for my family. And that I'm doing this to serve them, to look after them, to make sure my loved ones are secure. And that's totally fine. It's totally fine. It's temporary. That's the good thing about life, mate. No matter how good or bad it gets, it's always temporary. Right? Every storm passes. Every sunny day has to go to sunset. It's all just the nature of the game. So yeah, get a job. Any excess income that I make just gets squirreled away. I can tell by the end of this 6-month period, or however long it takes, I should easily have plenty of cash stacked up where I should never have to worry about money again. Because it doesn't matter how successful my business gets in these next 6 months, I'm going to stay here to see out, making sure that my mother's and brother's lives are set up again. So it's not about the success of my business, it's about the priority of my family. So yeah, it's just 6+ months. I don't know, however long it takes to sell a house, split up family assets, go through all that legalese, find a new place for my mum, make sure she's all set up. I'm planning to basically just take over managing my mum's life and just automate all the bills, and I might even hire a virtual assistant just to make sure that they've got a system in place to look after her and the household, because she's 66, but she's just becoming increasingly vulnerable. And she's going to be an empty nester because I'm not going to be around. And my brother is not going to be around. And unfortunately, she would have gone from 3 men in the house to 0. And that's a lot to adjust to, I think, particularly if you're an older woman. So, yeah. I'm here being the good son, being grounded for the time being. And that's the nature of the game. We pivot. I still believe in everything I'm going to do for the Account Executives Toolkit. I did have some great ideas for content that can't work as well now that I'm not in Thailand. And building in public will still remain. I'll have to get creative with that in new and different ways. It was much easier in Thailand to be creative, because I think when you're overseas, you just have there's this bias when you're overseas, you feel like you're compelled to go out more and experience more of the world and what's around you. It's opposed to being a local. Because when you go out, when you're like, for example, I lived in Melbourne my entire life, and I go, yeah, like, what is it to do here? I mean, yeah, you go to the MCG, and yeah, we've got cool laneways, I guess, and then, yeah, everything that you want to see in Melbourne is like 2 hours away. You want to go to the 12 Apostles, you want to go to the Fairy Penguins, and maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be good content ideas that I do that. But I guess it's just really rethinking what's going to be interesting for the pod, what's going to be interesting for the content. Maybe I just do a bunch of laneways, and I'm thinking about going to the MCG, that's the Melbourne Cricket Ground. For people who are unaware, the Melbourne Cricket Ground is the largest stadium in the Southern Hemisphere. So we play cricket and we play Australian rules football there, for those who don't know, for the international audience. AFL, the greatest fucking sport on the planet. And I'm actually running a little bit late now for my Swans to hit the finals. So, yeah, we just pivot, amend, we ground, we stay humble, and we keep going, because this is what the universe has put in front of us. And I knew something like this was going to come in the cards in the near future, in the foreseeable future with my family. The means of how it's unfolded, it was completely not predicted. And to be fucking honest, I wouldn't wish this circumstance against my enemies. It is not good, to say the least. But this will be for the best. This will be for the best for sure. It sucks now. It absolutely sucks now, but it will be for the best. And when I think about this 3 to 5 years in the future, taking a longer scope on this, things will be completely different. Things will be great. It'll be all worth it. But yeah, man, I'm not going to lie to you. I've been in hell for the last 2 weeks. I have been in absolute hell, because from the moment I found out the news, so to speak, of what had happened with my family, and I was the first one in the family to know of the situation, I've just been stressed, absolutely stressed. And it's been over 2 weeks of just being extremely tightly wound, having to cut my trip short. I basically, when I found out I found out late Saturday night, I took the first flight out of Phuket back to Melbourne. I've had to get involved with the police. I've had to get involved with just legal and financial. It's been wild, not to mention the conflict that comes with, let's just call it a family breakdown. So, shouldering all this responsibility, having to do all the organising of managing the family affairs, just taking on being head of the family, and just the immense amount of triggering that my parents give me from both sides, and just copping it. All this fucking triggering. And then not to mention that I am neck deep in the worst time of year for me to be in Melbourne. I deliberately tried to get out of Melbourne to avoid the spring, because I get really bad allergies. There's nowhere near as much sun. And it's just this, the weather is awful for me. I am smack bang into it. So I wake up, I've got itchy eyes, my nose is blocked all day, my skin is dry as shit, there's nowhere near as much sun as there was in Thailand. My seasonal affective disorder is coming back, or it could just be fucking stress. I don't even know at this point. I'm not eating as much. I've been stress eating, I've been comfort eating. My routines have been all over the shop, just being an emotional punching bag from 700 different degrees. It's been fucked, man. It's been proper fucked. But to my credit, I will say this about myself, is that I think I've handled it pretty well. I've had a couple of minor just snappings, and the tension's getting a lot, and my neck is stiff as shit just from literally carrying the burden on my shoulders of all this stuff that's happened over the last fortnight. But I don't know, maybe it's the calling, maybe it's the higher purpose and the power, just knowing that everything that's being put in front of me is part of a bigger vision, a bigger purpose, a bigger plan that the universe has in store. You just kind of go, okay, are we doing this? I guess we're doing this, right? So that's what happens, is that you go, fuck, this has not been put in front of me if I did not have the strength to overcome it. If I did not have something within that, something resourceful, something scrappy, something street smart, something resilient inside me to get through this. And from what I've learned, the lessons that I've been learning over the last few weeks during this journey, most of it's been about trust. Most of it has been about release, about just trusting the universe that will flow through. You will flow through this, and you don't necessarily have to be pushing out and so aggressive all the time like I usually am. And when I mean aggressive, I just mean assertive. I'm not like angry, but you have to be proactive in sales. You have to be proactive in business, and you have to have that insatiable drive and push to get where you need to go. But you've also got to understand, like I said, probably last week, the week before, Bruce Lee, you got to learn to crash. You got to know when to flow. And if I can trust the universe to be in the flow of the business of where it needs to be, and this is where it's taking me, then I just need to trust in the flow of time, because I can't rush time. I cannot rush a lot of these processes. Some of these things are so far out of my control that I just have to be patient, and I have to be resilient, and I just have to be able to stick to my plan, trust the process, and keep calm. Because in this situation, I have to be the most calm, the most rational, the most considerate. I'm stepping into crisis leadership here. There's no other really way to put it. So in a crisis situation, to my credit, is where I do my best work. Is that like, for example, during the pandemic, I didn't freak out about the pandemic and the lockdowns. I saw it as an opportunity to cocoon away, to go into a fucking hyperbolic time chamber of going, all right, well, if the world's shut off, then I can just hide away and work on myself and do my thing for the next 6 months. It turned out to be a couple of years. But I was a COVID winner. So now that this is a new level of chaos, I'm a little bit more prepared. All right, the nervous system is taking a few hits, but it's conditioned to this level of uncertainty. I thrive in a lot of chaos. And that's because of, again, thanks to a hyperactive nervous system of being hyper-independent and hyper-aware. And that comes from, again, family trauma, from a lifetime of being in emotionally unstable situations. I'm pretty conditioned to this shit, right? So those are the strengths that are working in my favor here. Just go, oh yeah, cool, shit's fucked at the moment. I'm copping a fucking beating. I'm down, but I'm not out. And there's a way through this, and there's a way through this where everyone can win, and everyone will benefit from this. And the answer to all of this, to getting through this, is to be the rock, is to be the grounded presence, is to be the stable, calm, collected leader through this process. Keep working on myself, making sure that I maintain my physical, mental, and spiritual health as the bedrock of this chaos, and just keep moving, just keep rolling with it. Right? I mean, my biggest fear through this building process was just about money and resources, and I'm like, surely now, with all the stuff that's been put upon me, money won't be a problem, and I don't think it will be. I think we'll make it work just fine. I just have to be smart about it and ask people smarter than me about money and law about how I sort this out. So yeah, this is just where I'm at right now. I wanted to keep this one short and punchy because, yeah, there's not a lot to update you on besides some pretty fucked shit. So next week we return back to normal programming. I do apologize for the week that was missed. I think you can understand why, given the situation. And we pivot and we keep going, we keep growing, and I keep you updated on the process. And of course, if you want to support me on my journey, please join the free Conscious Tech Sales community, school.com/Tech Sales Academy. There's over 30 free lessons in technology sales, how to get your start, what are the best practices, a couple of inner circle secrets as well, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, you'll get early access and we've got exclusive promotions and incentives for the Account Executive Toolkit when it comes out in the next 1 to 2 weeks. This week will be spent, when you watch this, will be spent strategizing and having a hard launch of the product with content, etc., etc. Got to rebuild and replan. But that's it for this week's, folks. Thank you so much for your patience and your attention. And we shall remain building in public, back in Melbourne, grounded in Melbourne for the time being. Ciao for now.